and welcome to the Teaching Together podcast, where we celebrate and share the glows and grows of teacher life. I'm Sierra.
And I'm Grayce. So we're at that wonderful time of the year when your Spotify Wrapped comes out, because apparently every person in the entire world has a Spotify account. And I love how it's just taken over the world and everyone does a Wrapped. And obviously we have to do one for teaching because that's fun and whimsical, and we're fun and whimsical. So welcome to our wrapping up the year reflection episode. And we're going to take you through our teaching Wrapped of 2025. And because we love our jobs, we're not going to dwell on the negatives, but, you know, there'll probably be some sympathetic fake crying going on at some point. And it's probably going to be a little bit looser, as you can tell by this intro. But we will be reflecting, we'll be laughing. And we're going to try and properly close off the year, as my director of teaching and learning always says at my school. We're going to give ourselves some cognitive closure so that we can actually sleep during the holidays and not constantly be thinking about school, and then get ready for 2026.
Love it. We do, of course, still need to start this episode with a glow or grow. So thinking more broadly as we're wrapping our 2025, Grayce, what is a moment from this year that was a glow for you? And what do you think is one area where you genuinely grew?
I mean, it's really hard to condense the entire year of kindergarten down to a single moment, because with kindergarten there are so many beautiful, wholesome moments, and they just don't realize how funny they are. But I do have to say, we call them celebration assemblies, our end of year awards ceremony thingo that we do, and we do that. We don't have a presentation night or anything. It's just in the afternoon at school, and all of kindergarten gets to graduate, quote unquote. And so they all get a little certificate. They all get to come on stage. It is adorable watching them, because our principal is obviously a tall man, and the children are sometimes up to his knee, and he has to kneel down to, shake their hand and give them their award, and they have to turn and look at the camera for a photo. It is adorable. And I'm an emotional wreck at the best of times, but watching my class go up, and they all, once they've gotten their award, they go stand on the side of the stage, and they, gradually it becomes my whole class is standing there. And then the head of junior school says, congratulate Kindy Aqua, which is my class this year. And I just burst into tears. I was like, those are my babies. And I was standing at the front of the room, and I was like, all the parents can see me crying. This is real awkward. But I was just so proud of them. And I was just, I was happy for them. I was happy for me. It was all, oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. So honestly, it's really cheesy, but that is definitely a moment from the top of my head that makes me smile. And also how some of my more outgoing children, when I mark the roll, I would tell them, you are allowed to say here or good morning, nothing else, because we get some spicy responses from my wonderful children.
Spicy.
They're just,
I love that.
Oh, there was some characters this year, but one of them would say, good morning, Miss Lovely Keen. And I just think that's so cute. I was like, thanks. Yeah, there's so many gorgeous, wholesome moments. And an area where I genuinely grew, I think actually we were encouraged to do some reflection on our last PD day of this term. And something I thought that I definitely need to grow in, but I'm also growing in, was asking for help, and not just assuming that, oh my gosh, I'm in a grown-up professional work environment, I need to just know the answer to stuff. Because it's actually more unhelpful if I pretend to know the answer and then something goes wrong than if I just go, hey, how can I do this properly from the start? And I think now that I finished my second year of teaching, I am so much more confident and a lot better at teaching than I was 2 years ago at the start of 2024. And I have a lot more confidence in myself, but a lot more confidence in being a little bit vulnerable with the leaders, the grade leaders and the stage leaders and things like that, to go, hey, I'm actually unsure about this. Can you give me some pointers? And shout out to my lovely friend Adora. I don't know if you're still listening to our podcast, but if you are, hello. Adora at work, she's just so good at asking questions just all the time. She never seems to be concerned about not knowing enough. She always is just like, hey, grade leader, I have a question. How would I do this? How would I do this? How would you do this? What would you recommend? And it doesn't come across as she's uncertain. It just comes across as she's eager to learn and do her best. And so that has been really inspiring for me to go, oh, actually, it's kind of like, here's what a good one looks like. That's I can do that in my own practice. And it doesn't look like she's floundering or doing a terrible job. And it doesn't make me, trust her less as a professional. So that was just really helpful to see it in action. Yeah, so I am growing in that, and I would like to continue to grow in that next year, because it's such a safe work environment to do that in. So really, it's all just been very wholesome and wonderful. Yeah.
Wholesome and wonderful is a great thematic way to wrap your 2025.
It really is. Like, we were joking before about the AI overview that you get now on Google and stuff. I think the AI overview of my teaching career so far would be wholesome and wonderful, because my school is great and my students are great and I just love teaching. Anyway, full stop on that very long answer to those two questions. So Sierra, what are your glows and grows?
Yeah, I think kind of similarly. I mean, big glows for me this year were, seeing my students like unlock particular achievements. And it's probably not quite as like maybe groundbreaking as they arrived at school and they couldn't read and now they can. But yeah, I don't know, just when you see students, particularly I think in my subject area, actually being able to execute like with their vision for a particular project. And I mean, when my year 12s finished their major works, that was a huge glow. And yeah, lots of what they were able to achieve was really, really exciting. I think that would be an overarching glow of my year. One of the hilarious moments, again with my year 12 class, was they bought me a stuffed Highland cow toy.
Yeah,
not an actual Highland cow. But I am starting to build a little bit of a reputation for my love of cows and mini cows and Highland cows. And so it was a little bit of a joke, but also a beautiful, thoughtful gift that they got me at the end of term 3 when they gifted me this beautiful stuffed Highland cow that sits on my desk. And now I've just bought myself a weighted Highland cow. Anyway, it's just, I could go on about my cows, but I shall not. And an area in which I've really grown, I actually think it's probably more the very, 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 very tail end of this year, as in like over the last few weeks. And it's something that I want to make sure that I carry with me into 2026 is just really being able to say no.
Amen. And knowing you as I do, I think that is a really helpful goal for you to have.
I will be very honest that this is like a huge struggle for me, and I always want to be helpful and, be, I don't want to say, I mean, I definitely feel like I'm a bit of a people pleaser, but more from the aspect of I just want to be helpful, and if I can do it, I should do it, and those sorts of things.
Yeah.
And these last few weeks of term have just really reminded me that just because I can doesn't mean I should.
I actually, yes, thank you for saying that. I think probably everyone listening to this podcast episode is going to go, what? Are you kidding?
I think teachers really struggle with this, especially because we're often in this profession because we love helping people. Like, we are in a helping profession where we want to do things for other people and make a difference. And yeah, the last few weeks had some experiences and lots of tears and lots of really good conversations that have just reminded me that I don't have to say yes to everything. And also the way that I do something doesn't have to be the same as the way that the next person does something. And yeah, anyway, I am feeling like I learned a lot over those last few weeks of term, and I want to make sure that I really carry that with me and keep growing into that, because not to be selfish, but to be actually more helpful, because if I collapse in a heap, that's not helpful for anyone.
No, Woo!
Anyway, but as we look back on our 2025 experiences and our teaching wrapped for the year, we are going to spend a little bit more time thinking about the time that we spent at school, the emotional tracks on repeat, our teaching genres, classroom vibes, and the moments that have defined 2025 for us. But first, it's time for tea.
So, we are actually drinking the same tea,
Indeed.
which is very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And it is called a strawberry spritz.
Indeed it is.
And it comes from where?
The tea centre.
Oh, the Tea Centre. We love the Tea Centre.
We do.
Sponsor us, please, Tea Centre. And it is a holiday tea.
Absolutely.
It is this. We are not surviving with this tea. We are thriving. We are enjoying the fruity whimsy, of the strawberry spritz.
Yep.
And it is so different from my usual Earl Grey that my taste buds are a bit like, woo, are we having dessert for breakfast? And we kind of are.
We kind of are.
And so now that we've done the most important part of the podcast, see you later. But let's get into the bulk of our teaching wrapped.
Let's.
So question number 1. If Spotify Wrapped told you how many minutes you spent at school this year, what do you reckon it would say? Oh, dear. Well, we work a 40-hour work week physically at school.
Physically.
And that's for about 37, 38 weeks of the year, depending on how many weeks of holidays we have and whatnot, which equals about, I say exactly, we calculated this, 2,960 hours at school
Between us.
together cumulatively, which equates to a cumulative 177,600 minutes, which is more minutes than I listened to Spotify this year. So that's good at least. But my question to you is,
Yes.
how many additional minutes or hours, whichever one makes more sense to you, did you spend on emotional labor outside when your body is not at school but your brain is?
Oh, okay. I will acknowledge that I think I'm generally pretty good at not doing an excessive amount of schoolwork at home. Like, I stick around at school for longer than I have to most afternoons, get myself, as far through things as I can, and leave. So I do think that my physical hours at school are a pretty good representation of the amount of work that I've done, I guess.
Yeah, okay.
But do our brains ever really turn off? I mean, I think I would easily spend, I don't know, so many more hours in the week thinking. All my car rides to and from school,
Yeah.
thinking about things to do, thinking about what to do the next day. Peak major work season, I dream about them. So that's all night long. So I don't know, so many additional hours. Maybe we could add another 15 to 20% of my whole school hours for the year on top of that again. Maybe that's an underrepresentation. I don't know. It's really hard to quantify because you constantly, when it's just all in your mind, you can just like drop in and out of it all the time,
Yes. And I honestly am thinking about school pretty much all the time.
Yeah.
Like, all the time. Even if, like, right now, I'm just in the process of moving classrooms. And so I'm just a bit worried about the mess that awaits me when I go into school this week. Yeah, I think I'm good at not taking work home because I do try and do most of it at school. And I've actually trained my brain. Basically, as soon as I'm at home, I can't do work at home, which is unhelpful during report season. But I'm bad at turning my brain off.
Yeah.
Which I think also, preaching to the choir here. So I reckon I mean, I don't even know how to quantify. I'm quite bad at estimating, even though I have to teach children how to do that. But I just am always thinking about school. Even if it's not worrying about school, I'm just thinking about it.
Yeah. It's a big part of one's identity, I think, if you're a teacher. And so it's very easy to just think about, like, I probably think about it more than I notice that I think about it.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's probably why it's hard to quantify as well. But I do think as I've become more experienced, I probably think about it less.
Yeah.
Just in terms of it's not so high on my register in my mind of like just constantly considering.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I can understand that. The more prepared I feel, the less I'm kind of just stressing in the background. And I think just to close out with maybe some practical stuff, if you're, spending all your time doing work and thinking about work and whatever, I would direct you to some advice that I think Sierra received from one of her colleagues early in her teaching career, that the to-do list will never be finished.
Correct, yes.
It will never have a blank page of, I've done all my tasks. So what you really need to do is, figure out, maybe use an Eisenhower matrix, which we love here, or just figure out the 3 top things you need to do that day or that week or that term or whatever, and realize that you're going to have to become okay with not getting everything done. And that's just how teaching is. And some things are not important enough to worry about. So you need to figure out in your context what those things are. You need to figure out what you're going to put your time and energy into. Make sure that those things happen, like things you're accountable to other people for, things that have an actual deadline, like reports and program writing and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, yes. Good reminder.
Yeah.
No, I do think that's really important. And it was genuinely some of the best advice I think I received, because I am definitely a ticker box checklist kind of gal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very frustrating when it feels like you tick one thing off, but there's 3 things that you've added to your list in the time that it's taken you to tick that one thing off. But I do think my system, and I would actually say the way that I manage my work time at the moment has actually just come about kind of quite naturally, because my husband and I only share one car. And so by nature, I get to school kind of like literally only 5 or 10 minutes, 10 minutes if it's a good day, before school starts, as I'm arriving, because I drop him at the train station, and then I stay at school for quite a long time in the afternoon to then tee up with picking him up from the train station at the end of the day, unless there's a real reason for me to be anywhere else. But by nature, that's kind of just happened. Like, I haven't made a commitment to being like, I'm going to stay at school for like an hour and a half of non-contract hours just to like get on top of things. That's not really what's happened. But by default, I've ended up with a lot of afternoon time, and I've decided to capitalize on that to then mean that I don't really have to do much extra at home. But I never feel like the time that I'm there, I'm trying to tick through things or have a specific set of tasks that I'm trying to get done. I'm just working until it's okay, I've got to go now because he's on the train. And you just are working and maximizing the time that you have. And I think I've learnt how to just like prioritize, well, what has to be done first, and then that extra time that I have at school in the afternoon, some days I will just go and clean up my room or do some other things that I often don't feel like there's a lot of time to do.
Yes. Sometimes you just need to go, I am going to do some laminating of a very unessential classroom resource in my release period today. Or I'm just going to sit and drink a tea.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's what you're going to do. And
yes.
That's okay also.
On the floor even.
On the floor even. Yes. I saw this great Instagram reel of teachers having
the floor time. Oh, yes, I've seen that.
On their backs, just having a snooze. Like, I want that.
I wouldn't say frequently on the staff room floor, but like I have been found on the floor sometimes.
I love that. I also, though, looking at my classroom floor, I'm not putting my body anywhere near that. It's disgusting. That's fair. It's feral.
Oh, I wouldn't go on my classroom floor.
And my classroom floor has only been in existence for 3 years. So, anywho.
Next part of our Wrapped is, I'm actually really excited for this one. What emotions were on repeat in your classroom this year?
Despair. frazzlement,
Befrazzlement.
befrazzlement.
Okay.
Yep. Frantic energy. Where's Miss Keen's cup? Where did Miss Keen put that? Can anyone see the whiteboard markers? Miss Keen, you forgot this. Yes, I did. Can you remind me of this? Because you know Miss Keen's going to forget. I shake my head at myself. In seriousness, though, do you have a serious answer to this?
No, I relate to too many of those, but I actually think it's just like I have an incredibly type B personality that has become progressively more and more type B over time, and it does distress me, but it is what it is.
You are type C. You are so type A, but you are also so type B.
Yeah, type C, that's meant to be a blend, isn't it? That's
Yes.
definitely me because
As I've seen on Instagram, so don't quote me on that.
I go through really extreme swings and phases of being type A in some areas of my life and incredibly type B in others. So yes, I frequently also have the questions like, has anyone seen where I left my coffee? And other things like that. But emotions that are on repeat, like we do love our jobs.
We do.
So I actually do think that there are some really positive emotions on repeat, which I'm really grateful for because I know that not everybody finds teaching cruisy. I mean, it's not cruisy, but some people really, really struggle with it. And there's so many contextual reasons for why that might be the case. And maybe your 2025 wrapped is actually that you're wrapping up like teaching or you're leaving a place because the emotions that were on repeat for you were just like not good.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really grateful for lots of positive emotions, lots of learning, like not just for my students, but actually for me. Like I learned actually so many new things this year. I did an amazing PD on how to use CAD software, which I'd never actually really been trained to do. So I really enjoyed that. Like it's actually, I mean, you can make it as hard as you want, really. But to be able to do the basics was really achievable for me, but I just needed the time to do it.
Yep.
So going on a 10-hour PD was so cool because I just like was able to sit there, practice. I was guided. And now I've been able to come back to school and implement that in heaps of different ways.
Right.
So I think there's a real like joy and encouragement in seeing like the fruition of your work and efforts kind of come to light on sort of the other side of things.
Yeah.
So I have really loved that. And I think there's been lots of instances of learning new things, trying new things and having some successes this year for me. So I would say that's a highlight. There's also been lots of tears, but I would say that's more probably a term for emotion specifically.
Oh,
just like taking on new roles and responsibilities and just learning to find your feet can sometimes be really emotionally overwhelming. Not to mention we're all just tired because it's like December.
Yep. Actually, I was just thinking on the drive here, I was thinking about how fortunate I am to work at a school where pretty much every single staff member is a genuinely high quality human being. And I've met so many beautiful women who I feel so comfortable with personally and professionally. And, you know, us female teachers, we're always hormonal and crying over something, and we always have D&Ms in the staff room at recess and lunch. But there are so many beautiful women that I've been able to look up to and also to grow alongside, because there's people who are obviously at the same stage of their career that I am and a lot further ahead. And I think if I really think about it, and the emotion that is on repeat the most often in my classroom was like gratitude for the fact that I am able to teach and I love my job so much. And lots of people absolutely hate their jobs, and that's what they have to spend their hours doing, is a job they hate. And I can't relate to that. I always feel like I'm doing something purposeful, and I've met so many wonderful people who have genuinely enriched my life. So if I'm being perfectly serious, I've felt so much gratitude, and I am very fortunate to work in a workplace where mental well-being is really something that's a priority. And the principal's door is literally always open. And I was able, like, I felt comfortable going up to my principal at the end of our Christmas lunch last week. And I just said, thank you so much for your time that you've put into me, being so generous with your time and your expertise. Because, you know, he had to observe me so that I could get my accreditation, which was very exciting and stuff. But I was just like, thank you so much. And he said some very lovely things back to me about how I contribute positively to our work environment. And I was like, who works at a place like this? Like, who works at such a wholesome, wonderful, you know, professional environment? Like, it was just, I do live in a little wholesome bubble and I just love it so much. And I just love sitting at my desk and looking out at my kiddos doing their independent work, and they're all having their own little conversations and being little humans. And I'm just like, oh, I love you all so much and I get to be your teacher. Like, I literally, on the last day, we'd had our celebration assembly and I set myself up for failure because I'd been crying all day. And then I said, I might even cry now. I said, they were in their lines and I said, okay, for the last time ever. And then just to say, you know, I say good afternoon, Kindy where they say good afternoon, Miss Keen. And I just said, okay, for the last time ever. And then I couldn't finish my sentence and I just burst into tears and they were like, Miss Keen, are you okay? What's going on? And I just had to have a huge cry. And I was like, good afternoon, Kitty Aqua. And they all said good afternoon back. And then we walked out and I was like, yeah, but like, obviously that emotion is heightened in December. But that's honestly how I feel like all year. I love my children and I love my school. So to be perfectly honest, I'm obviously frazzled a lot of the time, but more often than not, I'm very grateful.
You can be grateful and frazzled at the same time.
I mean, it's one of those things where the befrazzlement is, you know, part and parcel of the job, and so I'm happy to take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because I decided after I had already been at uni for a little while, only 18 months, but, you know, I felt like I was so behind everyone else. It's like, I want to be a teacher now. I've decided that late and blah, blah, blah. It really wasn't that late, but it felt like I had to wait a very long time. And I just am, every time I have to, you know, go to a staff meeting, which thankfully all our staff meetings at my school are so purposeful. So thank you to my exec team. You're amazing. You're not listening to this, but you're amazing. I'm like, I get to go to a staff meeting like a real teacher. And like, I feel like I'm playing dress up still. But
yeah, did you play teaching with your teddies and stuff when you were little?
No, I did pretend to be a teacher, possibly because my mum has been a teacher my whole life. And she would often use me to like practice lessons on. I remember one specific memory of her running a lesson with me in the living room. Like, I was very young. And it must have been an important lesson because I don't remember her doing it loads, but she would run lessons on me. So I guess I didn't really feel like I had to, and I didn't want to be a teacher until I was, you know, all grown up. So I never taught, like I never pretended to be a teacher. I was always a princess with an American accent for some reason.
Classic.
Yeah. But if we shall move on to the next segment of our Teaching Wrapped. Yep. Opening our next present. If your teaching had genres, what were they? And sub-question, what units or topics felt most you? This is a bit more lighthearted.
Yes.
How would you interpret teaching genres? Because, I mean, you teach a specific subject, whereas I teach lots of them, but, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess if we were, like, if you use the phrase teaching genre, it makes me think of, like, different practices. Like, I would say maybe my teaching genre is, like, project-based.
Yes.
You know, project-based learning, that kind of thing. But if, you know, a genre to me, like, you know, if we are talking about our favorite genres to listen to on our Spotify Wrapped, my favorite genres to teach to would be those which, like, really give me opportunities to promote, like, independent and critical thinking.
Yes.
I think that's what I'd say was my, like, genre for the year. So many times where I'm just really reminding myself of what I value, which is not just helping my students get the right result, but helping them find the process there and helping them to think for themselves. It is slightly concerning sometimes how much lack of thinking there is. And I'm not talking even academically, even just things like, oh, miss, where do you want me to sit? Well, I'd actually like you to find a chair and put your body in it.
Yeah, literally. Literally.
You can actually use your own brain to make the decision about it. No, anyway, I just think, those are sometimes the kinds of conversations that I have, and I am really working hard. I think my classroom genre is I'm here to equip you to think, not to do the thinking for you.
Amen. And that's the philosophy of my whole school, so I don't even need to go into any more detail about that. But yes, and knowing you as I know you, which is the second time I've said this now, but yes, I totally agree that that's your teaching vibe. If I had to explain had to explain you as a teacher to someone that didn't know you, that's probably what I would say. I would say you're type C and you want children to think for themselves.
Yep.
And I think mine is, kindergarten is by necessity relationship driven, and lots of work goes into behavior. So I think my genre of teaching, I would like to say that I'm a warm demander, and that is my goal.
I like that.
And I've heard, I think I saw it in an article from Edutopia.
Okay.
Which is just a really great website with short form articles and listicles and all that fun stuff. And some of it is genuinely really helpful. But a warm demander is a teacher who has high standards, but isn't like a drill sergeant. They're actually kind. It's, I'm going to support you to meet the standards and the expectations that I have of you.
Kids actually really want structure and standards, even if they say that they don't. I heard an amazing analogy recently. I do believe, and I could be misquoting here, I do believe it actually came from Dr. Justin Colson, who was like a sort of a parenting and teenage behavior expert. And he used this analogy of, when you sit on a roller coaster and the big thingy comes down over your shoulders to like lock you in.
The brace, the harness, or whatever.
Yeah. But it's not just, the fabric harness. Like it's one of those big hydraulic kind of ones.
I'm strapped in.
And what's the very first thing that you do when the harness comes down over you?
You test it.
You test it. You push back against it. And you hope that it doesn't move.
Yeah.
And so he uses this as this picture of like student behavior when they're pushing the boundaries. They actually do want to be met with some resistance, and to know that if you've said, my classroom expectations are this, and they try to push and test those, and then if you don't hold against that pushing and testing, then they're confused.
Wow.
And feeling unsafe.
That is such a helpful analogy.
Yes, I really hope I've quoted the right person, but the analogy remains helpful nonetheless.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. And that's what I want to be, my student safe person. And actually, oh my gosh, my wonderful friend Sarah, who I'm going to make listen to this episode because she hasn't listened to our podcast. I don't even think she knows it exists. Anyway, hi Sarah, I love you. She also works at my school, and she said to me that I am her safe person at school. And I was like, what? I was like, I'm so honored. Like, I didn't react like that in the moment, but in my brain, I was like, you don't know how much this means to me. And that I want to be that safe person for my students, and I would love to be a warm demander.
Yeah.
And I think that is somewhat the vibe I give, especially because I've mastered the teacher look, which is every teacher's goal. And literally, we were in our final Christmas chapel, which was the entire school out on the courts under the Kohler with all the parents and family and everything. And there were these two of my girls were just being silly because the poor things had to sit outside for like an hour and a half, and they're in kindergarten. And I spied them. I marched over. I had to stand the way that the kids were sitting. I ended up being basically at the front so everyone could see me. And I just looked at them I crouched down, I glared at them, and they kind of stopped, and I just maintained eye contact for a bit and just went, thank you, and then walked away. And one of the other teachers was like, oh my gosh, you are amazing. I was like, stop. Gosh, like it was just, it was one of those cringy, stop it, you're amazing moments. But those children also aren't afraid of me. I got so many beautiful Christmas presents and cards from the kids saying, thanks, Miss Keane. And I was like, I told you how to write that. But they appeared to genuinely like me as their teacher. Yeah. And look, we don't want to make friends. If it's a choice between being your friend and maintaining, classroom routines and expectations and a standard of work, then I'm going to be maintaining the latter. But, I want them to feel safe, and I want them to know that I love them no matter what, because I do. I do love them pretty much no matter what. That's my job.
Pretty much.
Small caveat. So I'm a warm demander. That is my teaching genre, as I have interpreted that to be. Yeah, and I'm here. I mean, I struggle with, if a kid doesn't like me, I'm like, oh gosh, I'm a terrible person, I'm a bad teacher, but that doesn't mean that at all. And not every kid's going to like me, because personalities differ, and that is actually fine. Hear this, new teachers, that's fine. I found that compared to some other teachers, I don't really have a teacher voice kind of thing. I'm definitely Miss Keane at school, but I'm pretty much just myself. Like, I just act like myself. And honestly, if you're going to survive the marathon that is teaching, you need to do that. You can't, maybe putting on a teacher voice really works for you, but I find that if I'm going to, teach these kids and build genuine rapport with them and also help them become amazing humans and, maintain my sanity, I can't, force something I've seen someone else do that they do really well, but actually just doesn't work for me or whatever. Especially working with kids, with 6-year-olds particularly, but next year I'm going to you too. Very exciting. I can't force anything, and I can't do the whole like, oh my gosh, everything's a show for for kindergarten. That's not what we're doing. Yeah. I have to keep it genuine. And it's kind of like smiling when you're in a bad mood can actually make you feel a little bit better. Putting a little bit on actually makes the whole thing a little bit easier to maintain. But I'm not putting on a fake voice. I just wanted everyone to know that it works for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Segment 4, top songs, which is it's my favorite bit. I say everyone as if I am representative of everyone, which I'm clearly not, and I do apologize. My favorite part of the Spotify Wrapped is top songs. So, so our teaching equivalents of our top songs are moments, routines, or practices that you kept coming back to, or things that felt reliable when everything else felt messy.
Yes, because you do like to listen back to your favourite songs when things are just feeling a little bit uncertain, don't you?
Say no more.
Yes. When I was having a bit of a meltdown this week, I went back to one of my very old, beloved Paramore albums that I haven't listened to.
Which one?
After Laughter.
Okay, is that a newer one?
It is one of the newer ones.
Yeah, because I remember listening to the one that has the butterfly on the cover.
Yeah, it was after that.
Over. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Continue.
Anyway. So yes, our top songs are often like a bit of a comfort blanket or a emotional support water bottle. And so I think I do think that I like things to look nice, and I like things to be engaging for my students, which is, not particularly surprising information. I just would have to say that Canva is probably one of my top songs.
Oh, amen.
In this context.
Thank you, Canva, for supporting the weight of the teaching community on your shoulders. Literally.
It's just fantastic for so many things, and whatever I want to do, it can almost do for me. And it just means that, I don't have to spend hours, recrafting every activity or variation of an activity that I want to do in a new way. It's so just, I don't know, reliable. It's cloud-based. So I'm just, the children aren't stressing about losing things. I'm not stressing about losing things. One of my holiday tasks I would love to do is actually to go through my Canva projects and sort them. I have absolutely no filing system set up in the way that I use Canva. So everything's just in my recent projects, and it is a little bit of a disaster because I know I've made workbooks and things on there that would be helpful to find. But yeah, I think Canva is probably the thing that I fall back on often. As a resource and as a tool and as a way to create engaging content that is, easy and quick. The other, or maybe one of my other top resources that I regularly draw from it's called Wayground. It used to be Quizzes, but they've revamped it now.
Quizzes is hard to say, so I
yes,
that they did that.
Yes, Quizzes is hard to say. So yeah, Wayground has had a revamp this year, and I have used that a lot, and it is just a really nifty, handy tool for so many things. So good for stage 6 revision, especially. You can assign things through Google Classroom. Anyway, lots of things I really love about that. I think they would be 2 tools that I would say I use so regularly in my classroom that it is as reassuring and comforting as a favorite song.
I love that.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. I love, oh my goodness, I can't even remember. Tick.
Oh yes, you were talking about that last time.
I only have been using it for this term, and it is such a lifesaver because I basically just do a brain dump that is categorized, and then I move stuff to the today folder. So I basically, okay, what do I need to get done today? And I try not to move it to the today folder unless it actually needs to happen today, which helps me with the, perpetual to-do list and keeps things reasonable. And I can set reminders and stuff like that, especially if it's like, I need to email this parent, but I need to wait till after school or whatever. So helpful. So I love Tick. Love. Not sponsored by it, but I do pay for it, and I think it's worth it. It's just fantastic, and I access it on my phone, my Windows school laptop, and my iPad that I have at school. And I use it for personal stuff. I use it for school stuff, and that's a comfort blanket for me to go, okay, my day is feeling really overwhelming. What do I need to do? And I can also just go, okay, is there anything I'm forgetting? Let me just scroll through, and if I am using it correctly, the way that I have intended it to be used, I'll just dump literally everything in, and I can go, oh yeah, I need to do that. I can do that now. And I categorize stuff by what do I need to print, because the printer is so far away that I need to really plan that adventure. And yeah, what do I need to print? What do I need to program? All the things. When do I need to water my plants at home? It's so good. I just love it. I think that's probably the main tool. And I did also love a good picture sort into examples and non-examples as a provocation.
Yeah.
Especially with kids who aren't, consistently reading lots of text yet. In kindergarten, that's a fantastic way to launch pretty much any topic. So we would do at the beginning of every term when we had a new conceptual lens, which was something huge like discovery or change or connection, we would do a picture sort of examples of connection, for example, and non-examples of connection. And so we would come together as a class and figure out, okay, what do we mean by the word connection? So let's define it together. So as we talk about it across the term, we're all on the same page. That is the bread and butter of inquiry in kindergarten.
Yeah.
And I loved it. They never got sick of it, surprisingly. I never had any kids complaining that they didn't want to do it.
Oh, I thought of another one it was a repeated thing that I did in my textiles classroom, that we just kind of have one giant table in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
And everybody sits around it, but it's a really good cutting table and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it often just accumulates rubbish all over it. And things that, other classes will leave a couple of things out, and then my class will leave a couple of things out, and it just all of a sudden you walk in there one day and you just feel like, I can't think because there's everything everywhere, which is kind of how my house feels right now. Anyway, but I did start making a habit of sometimes just saying to everybody, okay, before we start, find one thing on the table and go and put it in its place.
And if you've got 20 kids, that's 20 things.
Okay.
I love that.
And so that was just a really, really quick and easy thing where I didn't actually feel like it was hard to ask people to clean up either, because, they sort of also equally look at that space and just go, oh, that's a bit overwhelming. The table's messy.
Yeah.
But all I was asking them to do is find one thing. It might just be like that one unpicker that is just sitting there annoyingly, and that goes back in the drawer that's literally labeled for the unpickers. It's not too hard. And it was just really quick, and it meant we weren't disrupted by, the whole first 10 minutes of our lesson trying to reset the room or anything. Everybody just grabbed one thing, put it away. That was a nice, easy routine that helped me find a little bit of comfort in my day as well sometimes.
Yeah. I love that. Anywho, we have come to the final segment of our Wrapped, and it is a reflection, appropriately enough. So there's a bit of overlap here, but the two questions are, what are you proud of this year? And what are you consciously leaving behind? And I think, proud of, I'm like, oh, I don't know. What am I proud of? I was just like treading water. I got no clue what I'm proud of.
You're a proficient teacher.
Yes.
You should be very proud of that.
I totally forgot about that. I have a certificate and everything.
You do.
I am really proud of that. And I'm really proud of the fact that when my kids, like I was talking about before, when they stood up on stage as a class, we were all clapping for them. I'm proud of the fact that I was proud of them. That I'd done a good job with them. Well, I felt I'd done a good job with them. And they also really enjoyed being in our class. Like lots of them, I don't want them to be genuinely devastated, but a lot of them were like, I don't want to leave our class and blah, blah, blah. And that was a great compliment to me to go, I've actually made a really safe space where children enjoy themselves as well as learn.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of that. And the fact that I, completed another year of teaching, got another grade through, like that's awesome. And what am I consciously leaving behind? Like I talked about before as well, I'm consciously leaving behind my own pride, different to being proud, but my own pride and, I need to have everything together. That's going out the window, and I'm going to be asking for help more.
Yep.
What about you, Sierra? What are you proud of?
Yeah, I am really proud of my textiles major works. It was the first time that I taught the HSC textiles course on my own. I've previously team taught it, but I haven't taught it independently.
Yep.
So I was really proud of those and what a lot of them were able to achieve. And I think the marks come out this week, so we'll see if I'm still proud of them later in the week. Yeah. But at this stage, numbers don't matter. I'm really proud of what we were able to achieve. And I'm really excited for the new set of projects that I have in the new and up and coming Year 12 class. So, hopefully I'll be able to learn from all the data that I get based on this year and be able to steer them in a really good direction. So it's all, better than before. But I think, like I also alluded to before, I am going to be consciously leaving behind the need to say yes to everything.
Amen. And I'm so proud of you for that.
Thank you. One of the things that really caused me a lot of stress in the back end of this year was our speech and awards night that we do is actually held in a different location to our school. And so we have to load trucks full of stuff, trucks full of instruments, trucks full of display materials of all sorts of things.
It's just the biggest hassle.
It's a huge event. And it all gets driven to this other location, unloaded, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, because my dad is a heavy vehicle driving instructor, he insisted when I was a young and impressionable human that I don't know why I said young and impressionable. I'm still very impressionable.
And also young.
But he really wanted me to get my truck license. So that is something that I have, which has meant that every year I have been given the responsibility of driving one of these trucks to said location. And I'm just not a truck driver. I'm actually a teacher. And it makes me really stressed like I am so fun driving the little mini bus to sport to and from on a Tuesday afternoon. And I do it every week and I'm really comfortable with the vehicle, but this is like, I'm not talking like a little, a short little truck. Like this is like a big vehicle. Like most people can't drive them.
You're a little person
and
also.
I'm a little person, and I just say, yeah, of course I'll drive the truck because, I want to be helpful, and theoretically, legally, I can.
Legally, yes.
Legally I can.
Oh, dear.
But is it good for my well-being?
No.
No. Too many tears were shed last week over the truck situation, and
a learning moment.
And it has been a real learning moment for me to be like, you know what? There are other people who can drive the trucks. Maybe they're not even at our school. Maybe the school will need to organize someone else to drive it. But that's okay because it's not going to be me.
Amen. It is not going to be you. That's your first no for the year.
That's my first no. It's just like, I want to be helpful, but every year I forget until it's like the week of speech night how stressed this makes me.
Oh,
and
you just trauma block it.
I do. And I've just learnt that, I don't need to say yes to things like that put extra pressure on me, and in the end, extra pressure on my family because I had to ask for help from my family to help me drive because I was just so stressed. And, it's just not necessary, and I do need to take care of myself so that I can do my actual job well.
You are not getting paid to drive a truck.
No.
Like you said, you're a teacher.
I am a teacher.
Fuck that.
And anyway, so that's the first thing that I'm really trying right now to hold on to that decision that I've made now and not forget it in the new year and just let my helpful brain take over. I want my well-being brain to remain on, and I will not, you've heard it here, I will not be driving the truck for 2026 Speech and Awards night.
Tattooed on your forehead. Sierra, don't drive the truck.
Don't ask Sierra to drive the truck.
No.
I need one of those like pieces of paper on the back of my staff chair, like, the ones that say don't talk to me because I will start talking to you endlessly.
Yeah.
I need something like that says don't ask Sierra to drive the truck unless you want tears, which no one wants.
This has been great. Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
Oh, that actually brings us to the end. We have no more things to unwrap.
Oh,
I know.
that is a little sad.
I love unwrapping things.
But I have really enjoyed this cognitive closure that you brought for us
It's
today.
actually been really helpful just personally.
Yeah.
Especially because I've got my class list for next year. I know what's happening and I'm just already in 2026 mode. But I didn't we had a wrap up at school. But this has been nice to just go, okay.
Yep.
Done.
Yep.
And I think this is super cheesy, but also pretty helpful. As we close, I just wanted to say, if this year was heavy, you're allowed to put it down. And that might look different. Like Sierra was saying, we don't know what context you're in. And putting it down might be, I'm out of here. I'm not teaching anymore. And honestly, kudos to you for making that decision. And for whatever reason, if this year was heavy, you are allowed to put it down. Maybe you've got stuff going on that's going to carry through to 2026 because we all do. But as much as you can, this year is done. And we're really sorry if you had a really crap year teaching because you know that we love it. And our hope for you is that 2026 will be a year where you rediscover your love of teaching because we really love it. I can't imagine myself doing anything else.
And it doesn't mean that we don't find parts of it challenging or difficult or draining. But I think this is why we often will talk about putting things in place that are about, taking care of yourself and remembering that the to-do list is never done and all of those things so that there's not additional pressure being placed on you.
Yeah.
Because we also acknowledge that we both work in beautiful places.
We do, yeah.
And that makes a huge difference. And what we just hope with our little show here in this corner of New South Wales is that we're actually highlighting some of those joys and being able to celebrate the good bits of teaching.
Yes.
Because there are good bits mixed in with the grows. Yeah. And I really like what you said, being able to put it down. I think that's it is cheesy, but it's actually a really helpful visual.
And
I don't like carrying heavy things.
No. And teaching, while we have said it is a huge part of our identity, it's also just a job.
Yeah.
There are so many other pressures. Your family needs you. Your pet needs you. Feed and walk your pet. Take your pet out for an adventure, please. But there are other people and things that need you more than your school does, and your school will run without you. I hate to say it. My school will run without me if I have to leave, which is
Someone else will drive the truck.
Someone
guys.
else will drive the truck, guys. But no one can replace you in your family. So I don't know who needs to hear that or if anyone does at all. But also, if this year was great, like mine was, you're allowed to celebrate it as well.
Yeah.
Victory lap. Go you. Go all of us for closing 2025. We did it. Air high five, as I always say. And I always do a sound effect with my little kindergarten kids. I go, pew, pew. Because they're adorable and I don't want to touch their hands. But yeah, and thank you also, I think, to our wonderful listeners that we don't know who you are, but we love that you exist and that you've decided to spend some time with us. Like, it really means a lot. And when Sierra was like, hey, do you want to do a podcast? I was like, heck yeah, I do. But, you know, it's nice to know that people actually listen and we hope we're helpful or at least entertaining. You can go, wow, at least I'm not psychotic like they are. Do you have anything to add before we officially close?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed doing this podcast and I'm really looking forward to 2026.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Doing it. That wasn't a,
No.
Do it ever again.
I think it's actually been huge for both of our personal growth as well. Like often the research and things that we'll read about before we bring it into an episode format has actually been really helpful and I think has brought, for me anyway, a great sense of accountability. Like if I say, hey, I want to try this in my classroom or that's a really good article, I want to have a crack at some of that. It has just been really, really helpful. So I hope as much as it's been helpful for us, that it's been helpful for other people as well. And if you do enjoy listening to our podcast, we would love to hear from you.
Please.
And to just, let us know that you what you've enjoyed and that also might help us shape what 2026 looks like as well.
Yeah. Say hi. We would love to just say hi back.
We would.
And the way you can say hi is to follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Check out our amazing website that the beautiful Sarah did put together all by herself because she's amazing. We are pretty much everywhere. We're at Teaching Together, the podcast. Give us a review if you feel so inclined.
It would be a lovely Christmas present.
It would be a lovely Christmas present for us to unwrap. But yeah. Have a wonderful Christmas, everybody, if you are listening to this at the time that this is released. And if you're not, have a great rest of your day. And we will see you in 2026.
Bye.